Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we're finally going to continue our year-end review series. If you're not aware of what's going on, I'm doing a bunch of recaps of certain things we did, like the top best cards, worst cards. Today we're going to look at the best standard deck of the year. Tomorrow will be the best wild decks of the year, and then it will all culminate into what I have tentatively labeled the 2020 Zeddies, the Hearthstone Awards. So we're gonna award the best deck of the year, the best card of the year, the worst card of the year. We're gonna have the best Hearthstone YouTuber of the year. We're gonna have a video recapping the best Hearthstone YouTubers as well in the next few days. So get excited for that. And yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of categories. Not all of them will have their own dedicated video. When the award show goes live, there'll be probably best artwork, best flavor. I'm not going to make a video going over the best one of each year. I'll just basically have a category, and I'm hoping to set up very soon a Google Doc where you guys can vote on what you feel are the best in each of these categories. So when the award show goes live, we'll have my picks as well as your picks. So it's not just my completely biased garbage opinion. You can also put out your completely garbage biased opinion. So should be a lot of fun. So make sure subscribe on the channel to get notified when all that stuff will go live. It'll be all before the end of the year. It's our year-end review. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. Anyways, enough of that. I just wanted to let you guys keep up to date on it. Let's take a look at what the best standard decks of the year were. And again, we're going to do it like the cards. We're going to go over every single class and talk about every class's best deck of the year. And then, of course, one of these decks will win the award at the Zeddy Awards. So here we go. We're going to start off with the brand new class of Demon Hunter, and you got to go with day one aggro Demon Hunter. It broke the game. It was ridiculous, overpowered, beyond repair, broke, disgusting, and it got nerfed in one day. It was that ridiculous, and it has to take the cake. There's no way around it. You had 5 mana Skull, you had 0 mana Eye Beam, you have 3 mana Altruist. It's just so many broken cards. 0 mana just look at this deck list and the nerfed cards. And we didn't even have Warglaives in this list. It's just ridiculous. Antin was a playable card, 5 mana. Oh my god, this was crazy. And this wasn't even refined because it was just day one. It would have got even nastier if it had left it alone. So yeah, day one Demon Hunter. And I'll give an honorable mention to Soul Fragment Demon Hunter. Did really well during Skullmance and the early parts of the most recent expansion, Darkmoon Faire, but got nerfed very recently. And I got rank 1 legend with it. So, I mean, that's kind of neat. And next we have Druid, and I got to go with the Guardian Animals Druid, the pre-nerf Guardian Animal Druid. Guardian Animals was 7 mana, and it dominated the very early Skullmance meta. Would likely do very well today if it still was 7 mana. Had that overgrowth into Guardian Animals. You had Kel'Thas was unnerfed as well. Incredibly powerful deck. And even Guardian Animals was even really good in wild, like Jade Druid and stuff. We'll talk about the wild decks tomorrow, but yeah, really, really powerful deck. And I'll give my honorable mention to Ashes of Outland Spell Druid with Glowfly Swarm. That was a very powerful deck as well. For Hunter, I gotta go with Highlander Hunter. Highlander Hunter was basically a top tier deck the entire year until its most recent nerf of Dino Tamer Bran. Just very prolific, very powerful. I'll give it to the Lorekeeper Polkelt, more aggro based list because it's one of the more recent ones and just was top tier. For pretty much its entire run. Just a very powerful deck with honorable mentions. Just going to the Lorekeeper Polkelt Face Hunter, which was also a very good deck, very powerful. All very aggressive, it's Hunter, right? Mage, I'll go with small Spell Mage or Tempo Mage. Before Astromancer, Solarian, and Evocation were nerfed. This deck was incredibly powerful. Apprentice with it, basically make your Evocation 0. Yeah, Prime on 7 was ridiculous, and then you had cards that could discover more primes, right? Yeah, Primordial Studies, which you get even more primes. So that deck got nerfed, but before it got nerfed, it was an absolute tier 1 juggernaut. Infuriated me because I can't stand the random, but I cannot deny how incredibly powerful it was. Runner-up, I would give to both Reno Mage, Highlander Mage, and Turtle Mage. before the Total Ring got nerfed. Not that that was the most powerful deck in the world, but in the right hand was a very, very good deck. Next, we have Paladin, and I gotta give it to Lee Broom Paladin, the Broom variant of Lee Broom Paladin, with Penflingers and the like. This deck has just been very good ever since Scholomance, where Lee Broom's got some insane support, and it's stuck around. You got the Penflingers in there. Just does a lot of damage, does a lot of good removal. It's just a very powerful deck. They even had to like buff a couple Lee Broom cards to get it there, like Lee Broom of Justice and the 1-drop. Very powerful deck, very consistent Paladin deck in the meta, and I'll give the runner-up basically to its counterpart of Pure Paladin, which also runs like the Lee Broom stuff, but hasn't been quite as consistent because the Pure stuff, just the payoff isn't as good as basically the Broom and Penflinger part of the deck. We have Priest, and this one was tough. Like, all these Priest variants are very similar, but I'm gonna go with Galakrond Priest, the kind of like that Scholomance version. Before Cabal Acolyte was nerfed, it was like a 2/6. That deck was very good. It still was built more around like generating value with like invokes and Galakrond stuff, but it wasn't completely around that. You could argue that the most recent versions are more powerful, but I just thought it was the best like priest deck overall. Cabal Acolyte 2/6 was kind of ridiculous, and that deck did a lot of good work. But you can definitely make arguments for the latest deck, and I'll give the runner-up to Highlander Priest. That archetype just consistently has been like a tier 2, tier 3 deck, and most recently even got like a rank 1 legend climb very recently. The deck still does very well. Remember, Language Hacker did really well with it months and months ago. It's just, yeah, it was a priest deck that's done very well. For Rogue, I'm going to go with Galakrond Rogue before the nerfs to Galakrond. This deck was incredibly, ridiculously powerful. This was even before Secret Passage came out, which is a beyond broken card. And again, I don't know how it's on my best card list. Leave me alone about that. But yeah, you had 0 mana cards being drawn. And just think about if they hadn't nerfed Galakrond before Lorekeeper Polkelt came into the game, and you would have curved into Galakrond in 0 mana cards that are tutored by Polkelt, it would have been beyond broken. But I do think it still was the most powerful rogue archetype this year, especially it existed pre-rotation, which my time frame for all this of 2020 does include that. But yeah, it's just one of the most powerful decks I can think of, and it was able to keep up with like some of the most broken things we've seen. It was one of the decks that could somewhat keep up with Demon Hunter, even though it had to get nerfed like 13 times. Just a ridiculously good deck. Runner-up has to go to like the secret combo rogue stuff going on right now. It's incredibly powerful. Secret Passage, Foxy Fraud, Swindle, all those cards are just ridiculous. Jandis, just very powerful stuff. And Rogue has been very, very good all year. Speaking of being very good all year, except the opposite of that, that's Shaman. Shaman, we gotta give it to Evolve Shaman. It's the best deck in Standard right now. It's doing incredibly well, but that's basically the only time Shaman has been really good this entire year. Even at the beginning of 2020, Galakrond Shaman was basically kind of already dying. They had just nerfed like all the invoke cards, so that wasn't really a thing. There was a bit of Control Shaman, but yeah, it's Evolve Shaman. Evolve Shaman's ridiculous right now, especially with Demon Hunter not there to keep it in check. And I'd give the runner-up to, like, Totem Shaman. That was one of the other decks that, like, popped up to, like, tier 2 viability throughout the year. But overall, pretty rough year for Shaman. And I guess it gets a little bit of time to shine at the very end of it. For Warlock, I gotta go with Galakrond Warlock before, like, the whole Sacrificial Pack and Fiendish Rites nerf. This deck was very good. It was actually one of the only decks that kind of could compete with Demon Hunter as well back in the day, because Sac Pack could target enemy minions, and it was a very powerful deck. It did very well. Warlock didn't have a great year as well. The runner-up was probably the other only really viable deck, and that was like Zoo with like Dark Glare in there before it got nerfed, and the nerf that happened to it really hurt it badly in Standard. Not so much Wild, but Standard it really hurt it. So yeah, Warlock had a rough year, but Galakrond Warlock was a pretty legitimate deck early on in the year. The last class we have here is Warrior. I gotta give it to Bomb Warrior. There's been so many different variants of Bomb Warrior all year. They've all been pretty much competitive, but I'll give it to the version that had the pre-Corsair cash nerf, so it gave attack plus durability. And think about that these days, how it would be there. And Bomb Warrior with the builds of like Risky Skipper and Armor Smith have just been incredibly powerful. People have hit rank 1 legend multiple times with variants of Bomb Warrior, and it's just been a very, very powerful archetype throughout the entire year, including today. Runners up have to go to like ETC Warrior and like the Enraged OTK Warrior stuff. Basically, all the decks built around Risky Skipper, Armor Smith have just been ridiculously good. So those are my picks for the best standard decks of the year. Let me know in the comments below, what do you agree with, disagree with? What are your favorite decks, top decks, all that stuff. It's always fun to hear. Make sure to hit that sub button for the next year-end review plus the award show. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.